Good morning, my people. Return of the swivelly chair. Now, the main reason for the return of the swivelly chair is the life-changing and life-altering discovery of 2 days ago that I can do this. I can lean back. I have been nothing but annoyed with this chair, other than its generally enjoyable swooshiness, until discovering that I can lean back on it. Because if I can lean back on it, I can sit cross-legged on it. If I can sit cross-legged on it, I can sit for slightly longer. However, this video is not long enough to require any of those things. Welcome to video 3. Video 3 of the Scriptwriting series. New printer ink arrived yesterday, so that's exciting. I'm going to be printing up a storm. Well, maybe not a storm, because that's bad taste considering Wellington. But I can print, so that's exciting. What we're currently looking at is I'm just negotiating with Celtex, which is a company that has an online scriptwriting software where you can share what you're writing with somebody else, and it does all the formatting for scripts for you. So they're giving us a free COVID-19 end of semester use of Celtex. So that's going to make script writing a lot easier just for the formatting stuff, because the formatting stuff is probably the most daunting and particularly repetitive if you're trying to write it on Google Docs, to have to keep going Jeffrey, blah, 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 Sheldon, blah, 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 Jeffrey, Sheldon. And you get sick of typing everybody's names, to be completely honest. So that's just going to simplify matters no end. Right, today's writing challenge. Listen very carefully. First of all, what do you like to count? So think a little bit laterally about that. What are the things you like to count? And the second half of that, what are the things that can't be counted? You can write these in sentences, you can write these in bullet points, but don't spend any more than about 5 minutes to 10 minutes. What do you like to count? What are the things that you can't count? All right? And put that into the Spark of an Idea Google Doc. That would be cool. Other than that, it's really nice to see some of the ideas that you're coming up with for the people that you're going to write on. There are some non-New Zealanders, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Because it means that you've at least been thinking about different people and you've got somebody in mind. If you've got somebody in mind who's not from this country, that's okay. We can work with anybody, because the content itself isn't what's important. What's important is what we do with it. So the next part is some research. So you're going to need some research into your person. You'll notice that there's a sheet in your Google assignment that's just entitled research. It's not really part of the assessment. It's just that it's important to know for yourselves what you're going with and where you're going from. You can just fill that with URLs of internet stuff. You can put pictures. You can put, copy and pasted quotes and stuff like that, particularly as you're trying to narrow down what is it that you're going to be writing about, because you're year 12, you've only got to worry about one scene. So what's that moment going to be? And gather the information about that moment. Who were the people involved? What was the bit that was the most about it? Where's the tension? Is the tension that, of course, climbing up to Mount Everest, it's never been done before, lots of people had failed, and that tension is around, you'll never make it, Edmund, I will indeed? Or is the tension around, I don't like you, you don't like me, I'm Aaron Burr, sir, I'm Alexander Hamilton, and I'm the guy who shot him, kind of thing. What is that tension? Because it's the tension that's going to make it quite interesting. I've decided on who I'm going to be writing about, and where's my research? I'll show you. Here's my research. It's a book that Gary Hall gave me when he was cleaning out his bookshelf. Good old James Ballach. And I'm going to be writing about... I'm pretty sure... I thought there was a picture. Maybe there's a picture, maybe I've lost the picture. Did I take my post-it note out of where there was a picture? Maybe I'll show you the picture another day, because clearly... Oh, there we go. Bam. So it's Lucy Takiora, and yes. All that I will say is that she be cool, and she be a spy, and she potentially thought that she worked for the wrong side afterwards. I will struggle to find more information on her, but that's okay, because I don't need a lot of information. I just need enough that we've got to write a story around, because we're allowed to use some creative licensing. We're not writing something that is the absolute truth of what happened in somebody's life. We're using it as a starting point. Yes, it can be the absolute truth, but we're still adapting it for stage, and there's all those things that we can do on stage that we can't do in real life. We can speed up the course of time. We can have flashy lights. We can have singing and dancing. You can have all of that stuff on stage that you can't do in reality. It would be really nice to have a bunch of chorus girls and I'm sidetracked with the thought of having day-to-day chorus girls that I have to choreograph around me, but it would be so worth it. So worth it. I am so distracted so easily, but that's okay. So what we're doing is we're doing an adaptation. There are plenty of adaptations that exist everywhere, one of which we know, of course, is Jane Eyre, that you were assigned to watch the other day. I think you can still watch it today, and if you haven't seen Jane Eyre, watch some of it, because there's an adaptation of a book, and part of the set is an adaptation of, well, a building. And it's a really cool adaptation of a building, because if you know the story of Jane Eyre, she goes through these different locations throughout her story, and there's some places that are very significant, such as her school, and then the house that she ends up at. Yeah. And the most interesting character about the whole Jane Eyre is still Bertha, but that's a different story. Literally a different story, yeah. There's lots of other sort of adaptations. This one here comes to mind as well. It's a new work from the Globe Theatre, which is called Amelia, because Shakespeare wrote about 3 different Amelias. And so this play, it's been in Auckland. It was the last one that was up at the Pop-Up Globe before it decided to become Australian. Still haven't seen it performed live, but it's a really good play. So as far as adaptations go, adaptations exist in all different forms. So don't feel like you've got to stick religiously to what happened and who said what when they said it, because we're not trying to recreate someone's life here. We're just trying to take a moment and dramatize it in everything that means. So today's task, first of all, writing challenge. What do you like to count and what can't be counted? And second of all, gather up some research. Find that moment about your person that's the most interesting, and gather the information you can. Some of that information, I'm just thinking about Isabella's topic right now, some of that information may be a legal document in court as to what the proceedings absolutely were in that moment of, she knows what I mean. Or it could be around murder, death, killing, or it could be around how do you even do murder on stage and make it not cheesy. You know, so gather up some of those bits of research and bung them in that research folder. Yes. Do apologise for the fact that yesterday I gave you a lesson and I hadn't actually stopped to think about the fact it was Wednesday and I don't have this class on a Wednesday, and then Mr. Fuller had the instruction that we had to do the roll. So I went into Kmart to do the rolls and realised that I didn't have my seniors on a Wednesday. So thank you to everybody who did your work, because you're elite. But I'm just going to carry on ignoring what day of the week it is and just keep assetting things, because that's the way life goes these days. So what do you like to count? What can't be counted? And then gather up some research on your person and bung that in your googly doc. All right, I'm now going to go and edit this video and make some breakfast so that everything's up and loaded before, well, not necessarily before you wake, but before the deadline of having to have your work out to everybody. Peace.